규모 7.7이라는 엄청난 위력의 강진이 미얀마를 강타한 지 2주가 지났습니다. 4월 9일 기준 사망자는 3,645명, 부상자는 5,018명, 그리고 실종자는 145명으로 집계가 됐습니다. 처절한 상황 속에 수색, 구조 작업에만 몰두해도 모자랄 판에 미얀마 군부는 지진 1시간 뒤부터 자국민에 대한 공격을 강행했습니다. 지난 2일 지진 피해 복구를 위한 일시 휴전을 선언한 후에도 공격을 계속해서 최소 68명을 숨지게 했습니다. 반대 세력은 물론이고 민간인까지 표적으로 삼는 군부의 학살이 이어지는 가운데 극심한 더위와 비까지 몰아치면서 전염병 확산 우려가 나오는데 식수조차 제대로 공급되지 못하는 곳이 많아서 필수 의료, 보건 서비스는 붕괴 직전에 이르렀습니다. 미얀마 국민들은 군부가 쿠데타를 일으킨 이후 4년간 군부의 독재와 또 내전, 그리고 강진 피해까지 삼중고라는 크나큰 고통을 떠안은 채 하루하루를 버텨내고 있습니다. 팩트는 기본 맥락까지 전해드리는 뒷백에서는 군부 치하에서 강진이라는 또 하나의 고통을 겪고 있는 미얀마 국민들의 상황을 가장 잘 이야기해 줄 수 있는 분들 중 한 명인 미얀마 민주진영의 임시정부, 민족통합정부 NUG의 아웅묘민 인권부 장관을 모시고 현지 상황을 알아보려고 합니다. 함께 보시죠. Hello.
Hello.
It's really great to see you again.
Very nice meeting you again.
Could you start by introducing yourself briefly for our audience?
Sure. My name is Aung Myo Min, Union Minister for Human Rights of the National Unity Government of Myanmar. Very tragic situation, in the catastrophic situation everywhere in the countries. It hit middle part of the countries, mainly Sagaing and Mandalay and the other state and division in the middle part of the countries. The update information we receive is caused 4,000 people died because of the earthquake, and also about 5,500 are injured nationwide. But the number keep increasing because there's a slow rescue team, and it's very difficult to get the data in the areas where they're mostly affected by the earthquake. The state rescue team are still searching for the dead body under the destroy or under the debris of the buildings. And the weather, the area is very tropical, very hot. But recently, there's a thunderstorm in the areas that make more seasonal the health problems. Drinking water situation is very serious now. The water systems is totally cut off, and natural water resources are destroyed. So people are facing lack of clean water, and immediate medical assistance for the injured and preventive medical measure in the areas.
The rescue efforts are focused mostly on areas which is under the military control, while other places are being neglected. Is that true?
Yeah, you can say that because we have evidence. Military try to highlight the areas of Mandalay rather than Sagaing, which is the epicenter is situated. They even want to change the Sagaing earthquake to Mandalay earthquake. That is the political reasons. Because the Sagaing division, which is the center of the earthquake, are mainly controlled by the NUG and other democratic forces. So they don't want to get the information out. And another reason is that they don't want to invite, or they don't want the international attention. International rescue team goes to Sagaing. Military has been cut off. Internet and also communication, that they cut it off because this is the opposition that our democratic movement strong areas for almost 2 years. So that make an extra burden for the people or relief worker to have access to the area, to find the correct data, to counter the health situation and all this kind of thing.
Right after the quake, there were reports that military attacked civilians. Could you elaborate on it?
We have listed there's about 90 airstrikes and artillery sharing into the areas where people are suffering of the earthquake. And that caused, about 70 people were killed, including women and children, because of the airstrikes by the military. This area is the main, movement against the military. The people defend forces, and then military is losing power. So they're using that kind of airstrike, even during this kind of crisis. The people are expecting airlift, humanitarian assistance from the airplane, but what they now giving is the fighting and killing from the air. And so there's a terror from the sky. They are losing the war on the ground because of there's more areas controlled by the ethnic and NUG, and people are more defiant against the military. So what the military rely is the air forces and attack from the air. So they've been, according to our data, military has been launching more than 2,500 airstrikes within 4 years. That caused, about 3,000 civilians killed of the airstrike only. So that includes not only the civilians, but also some of the areas like religious buildings, schools, and hospitals, which is for the humanitarian purpose, are under attack. There's 10,000 the houses were burned down within the 4 years, and they've been killing 6,000 civilians with the airstrike or other offensive attack on the civilians.
The military recently started forced conscription, and we are hearing that some young people are even being kidnapped. Can you walk us through what's really happening?
Before we talk about the conscription, we should understand why military introduced that one. Militaries are losing on the ground. There's a big number of their soldiers defected to the democratic side, and many people surrender because there's they are losing the moral, and they are losing their hope, and their military leaders enjoying themselves but not good support to the soldier on the ground. There's a massive defection and surrender. But the war is still ongoing. So military need to recruit new recruitment. But in that situation, no people volunteer to join the army. That according to that law, everyone, both men and women, between age 18 to 35 are mandatory to join the army. So that's a massive number of people, young people affected. And this is not a regular compulsory law. They don't care about how skillful they were. What they need is a new people to fight and send to the front line to fight each other with the other forces. So these people are immediately, as soon as after the recruitment, they are given short time of the training, not proper training, and immediately sent to the front line. And many of them will die because they don't have any, will to fight or skill to fight. And many of them ran away and, joined our side too. There's about 30,000 young people being recruited into the army within 1 year. And that they are sent to the front line. Many of them fled or died in the front line. Many young people who are already listed are sometimes kidnapped or taken away from the house. That's caused a lot of social problems as well. Many young people, they try to find a way to escape. So leaving the country both legally to the neighboring countries or illegally across the border, because this is the only way to escape. But there's a lot of, young people from Myanmar now stuck or stranded in Thailand or other countries.
We've heard that many children are being denied access to education. What's the reality like for kids trying to go to school right now?
Yeah, I have a great concern about the new generation, particularly children. Children in the war zone have no right at all. They're being denied all kinds of survival rights, protection rights, and all kinds of rights. The schools are always under attack by the airstrikes. Even though NUG providing some basic education, middle school education, and some area university education, very limited, and always under threat of airstrike, because we have a list of the school targeted and attacked, and children die during studying. The second thing is health, and as you can imagine that for 4 years, millions of children have no immunization for 4 years. So that is a big health situation that will affect in the future, particularly in this, earthquake situation. Diseases spread easily, and mother health, the infant health, conflict situation, and living in the IDP camps or refugee camps in the areas have very little nutrition. That also causes the malnutrition among the young children. They have no regular and permanent health, education, and food supplies. And even they are living in the IDP camps, militaries attack on them. And many young people, they are taken as a child soldier by the military because they desperately need new recruitment. This is another issue of the children's violations.
The military recently brought up holding elections again, while also extending the state of emergency. Why do you think they are pushing for elections?
Well, elections, we call sham elections. It is not the democratic elections that people are freely to vote and have a choice what government they would like to. But this is the military political, strategies to legitimize themselves. This is a sham election, and military have no authority to do it because they are not a legitimate government. And this is clear. Election will not be free and fair because military never respect to the democratic election in the history of Myanmar. People would boycott it. And that's very clear. They're not holding many territories. 44% of the territories is under the NUG and other ethnic people. So legitimacy points, they have no right to claim that, the elections, nationwide elections. We are calling the international communities and government not to give any recognition or support to these elections.
Back in 2008, during Cyclone Nargis, the military took advantage of the chaos to rewrite the constitution in their favor, right? Mm-hmm. Mm. Do you think they are doing something similar with this earthquake?
Nargis, that constitution was drafted by force. And the constitution never bring any good luck for the people of the country. It is according to the way of the military. That's how they in the power. It could happen again.
Why hasn't military dictatorship ended yet?
What we need is the international actions to cut off all the supplies, support to the military who are still able to in the power. That one is like Russia is one of the alliance of the military in Myanmar, providing weapons, ammunition, and also some technical training to the military to kill the people, jet fuels, jet fighters, and then training to the pilots. This is the reason military keep prolong their power and continue the killing the people. Russia has been long history of training military officers from Myanmar military in Russia. They keep that kind of military to military relations. Min Aung Hlaing visited Russia and Belarus with the protection of the Russian, and also that kind of military relations and official kind of military weapons, the business was there. But China is a bit hesitant to have that kind of open support militarily, but politically because they care about their border security, because Myanmar has the long border with China and business is very important for China. So they want to have a border security with their groups fighting against the military. There's a pressure on some ethnic armed groups to stop or to enter into their kind of ceasefire agreement with the military. So that's how these two major countries, play role in the situation of Myanmar.
How about other countries?
Other countries, we have different actions taken on Myanmar. The country like U.S. and some Euro country have a stronger actions, already taking economic sanctions and embargoes, particularly on the Czech fuels. But some other country has a limited sanctions and actions. But neighboring countries like ASEAN, they are no more on the engagement, finding the way of solving the problems in political ways. We should have global coordinated actions.
How many countries now officially recognize the NUG as Myanmar's legitimate government?
Well, I would say a couple of countries, formally, engaging, having an embassy of NUG in the areas. But some other countries not recognizing NUG as the government, but engaging NUG as the government. For example, we have a representative office in 8 countries.
8 countries?
Yeah.
Including South Korea, right?
In South Korea and also some Euro countries. And some countries, treat me as the Minister of Human Rights and also our other ministers as the government of the NUG. So that is treating and engaging as the government, but not as recognizing at the government, because many of the reasons is many countries, they're very strongly support to the democracy movement and strong solidarity with the people of Myanmar. But what they concern is their embassy and their people in the countries, like Korean government have a embassy in Yangon, many Korean people in Myanmar. So they also making a balance of how to keep the interest and how to keep the diplomatic relations and also recognizing NUG or engaging with the NUGs.
Some people in the international community are skeptical about whether democracy is even possible in Myanmar.
Burmese people believe there must be a democracy. That's why we are fighting for. The people resilient, strongly resilient to fight for democracy. But it takes time, not because of the people, but because we need more support of the so-called democracy-loving country.
Do you know how Aung San Suu Kyi is doing these days? Are you still unable to contact her?
Well, we don't have the formal contacts with her, but one source says she was safe during the earthquake. But we are quite concerned about her health and her well-being during this kind of, crisis, and also because of her age. She is getting 80 years.
Actually, the Rohingya massacre happened during the NLD's time in power. Given that history, there are concerns about whether the NUG can genuinely form a government that includes and represents all ethnic groups. How do you respond to that skepticism?
Well, when NUG was set up, we tried to bring representatives from the different ethnic groups come into the cabinet. And also, as well as Rohingya, we have a deputy minister there, but we know that it is not enough. The NUG is the interim government. We have done as much as we could, but we set up some of the good example and good steps of all inclusion of the ethnic people, including Rohingya. But that kind of thing should be, carried out for the transitional government and for future federal government. But all the discussion, all the policy we developed could be utilized for the better, meaningful inclusion for the government in the future.
Many Koreans have shown strong support for Myanmar's democracy movement. Have you personally felt that support?
Korean people have make a lot, continuous support to the ensuring solidarity. In my last trip, in Korea, so I was able to visit some of the demonstrations, showing support of the Korean people with the Burmese people on the street. So that is really, touched my heart because we, like I always mention, we share the similar history, struggle, and we understand much easier than other people, So that kind of people-to-people action touched my heart. Meeting with the people from different countries, but under the name of humanity, under the brand of human rights, and talking about human rights movement together is always amazing for me.
How did you feel when you saw the recent events in Korea, the former president declaring martial law, being impeached, and eventually removed from office by the Constitutional Court?
So I was amazed to see the Korean people, how mature and high moral and value for democracy. My colleague from Korea committed and mature to fight for rights and finding what is the most appropriate way of fighting against this struggle for justice. So through the Constitution, to the people power, all this kind of, so it came up with really great result of that. So that could, see how mature the people power, Korean people on the human rights awareness, and how everyone come together and see that the country problems, how to solve it. So that is really good. And also the Constitution decision, the court decision based on the constitutions. The Constitution decision was fair enough because it's according to the Constitution. So very good to see it. Not only the people, but system in the country make.
What can the Korean government and Korean companies and Korean citizens do to support Myanmar?
First, I really like to, thank you from my heart, all the solidarity of the Korean people. And there's a long history of, similarity of struggle. And, that's really amazing to see that, the people-to-people solidarity is well established. But we need more government-level actions. So first, stopped the business or investment which directly or indirectly benefit to the military. Second one, Korean government has no military-related business, but taking the lead to stop all this kind of military supplies and military, assistance to the military in Myanmar. And as third one, providing humanitarian assistance to the people in need in the country, and also provide the humanitarian assistance to the people from Myanmar who are now in Korea, especially young people who are also subject of forced conscription, seeing them from the humanitarian assistance and provide or protect some kind of, programs. They could stay here without any fear of, forced return to the country and subject to forced conscription, things like that.
Actually, many people are wondering how they can support the people of Myanmar directly without going through the military. What would be the best way to help?
Our recommendation, cross-border assistance through the neighboring countries, to the local organizations, because we have many, experienced local civil society organizations who know the situation, who are trusted by the people, who have a long history of immediate, efficient relief.
Lastly, is there anything you'd like to say to our audience?
So we are very inspired. We are very, very amazed to see the struggle of the Korean people, how mature they are for justice and human rights. Korean people have done a great job to defending their rights and to fight for justice issue. And keep that kind of, struggle to spread all this kind of solidarity and action and, work together for the people of Myanmar. People of Myanmar are also struggling for justice, for human rights. Thank you so much.
네, 지금까지 미얀마 민족통합정부 NUG 아웅묘민 인권부 장관님과 함께 이번 강진 사태를 계기로 미얀마의 군부 쿠데타 그리고 내전 상황도 함께 짚어봤는데요. 한때 많은 분들에게 5.18 민주화 운동을 닮았다면서 동지애를 느끼게 했던 미얀마인 분들의 저항이 4년이 지난 지금도 계속되고 있다는 점을 다시 말씀드리고 싶어서 이번 콘텐츠를 만들게 되었습니다. 미얀마의 강진 피해와 관련해서 한국을 포함한 많은 국가들이 여러 도움을 주고 있는 상황인데요. 아무쪼록 겹겹의 크나큰 고통을 겪고 있는 미얀마인 분들의 아픔을 치유하는 데 조금이나마 도움이 되었으면 합니다. 저희 뒷백이 운영하는 트위터와 인스타 그리고 스레드 계정을 팔로우하시면요. 실시간으로 업로드되는 뒷백 콘텐츠들을 확인하실 수 있는데요. 혹시 뒷백이 다뤘으면 하는 주제가 있다면 저희한테 의견을 남겨주시면 감사하겠습니다. 긴 시간 시청해 주셔서 고맙습니다. 지금까지 뒷백의 김혜영이었습니다.